Hello everyone, this is John Bolenbaugh. This is Revolution Radio Studio B, Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, and I have the amazing Blackfeet members, and they're water protectors. You know, they really want to protect the water. They're in Montana. They're in the, the headwaters of all the water that comes into North America, most of it, from down through Canada and everything, is going through Montana into the United States. And they're going to tell you a lot more about that, but I'm just honored to have them on my show.
Good evening, everyone out there that's concerned about the Blackfeet in the water fight. My name is William Blackman Sr., and I'm one of the members that's trying to help protect our water. Anyway, on the back right side of me, this backrest I made, it's from all of our headwaters and tributaries from the north end of the reservation to the south. These are all hand-picked and all dried and everything made by me. This represents our headwaters of the Blackfeet Nation. And one more thing is I'd like to clarify, if any of our tribal council gets a hold of this, is I'm not going to accept this $75 or $100 that you plan to give us during the Native American Indian Days here next month, on around the 12th of next month. I'm not accepting it because I am no sellout. I am a Blackfeet that stands up for his people. $75 is for the water payment we're supposed to be getting, and I don't accept no $75. That's a slap in the face, and every other reservation that did the water settlement is laughing at us. We have the most stupidest tribal council ever known. And right now, we're impoverished. I feel like we're one of the Indian countries down in South America, one of them tribes. That's how I feel. And it's frustrating to see these sellouts sell our water on us. I'm chairman of our tribe now. Anyway, I asked him, King Davis, why did you sell our water? Why did you sign it? You didn't have to sign it. And he said, oh, it was voted on. Yeah, that vote was illegal. You're supposed to have 1/3 of the people's vote, and that was not even close to any vote passing, either the water or the Constitution reform. We beat the hell out of that Constitution reform. So in our tribal doings we have in July, our powwow, we had a big dance there, and we celebrated. When we got done dancing, the councilmen that was against us, they didn't like what we got to dance, and that's our arbor we dance, and that's not theirs. They didn't pay for it. Our tribal heads paid for it. Anyway, getting back to the water, back to Mr. Davis, I asked him, why did you sell that? And he said all of that was signed. And I told him, well, one thing, I don't see how you can even be sitting in our tribal office as one of our tribal officials. You got caught with eagles that was illegally killed. The feds caught him. They didn't do a damn thing to him. And then they had meth in his government house when he was an employee for our IHS. They didn't do nothing there either. And then truthfully, to get right down to it, that guy needs to be in an enrollment audit too, because he got pissed off when I told him, you need an enrollment audit. What did he tell me? I don't care. Hopefully you don't cut this. These are out of his words. Bill, I'll beat the fuck out of you. That's what he told me. So that's how ignorant they are. They don't give a shit what they do. They can run over. They think they can run over us all they want, threaten us. They're in a high position up there. And that guy does need to be put in prison.
My name is Geraldine Gordon. I'm a Blackfeet tribal member, and in 1908 there was a fight over water down Fort Belknap on the Milk River, with this winter's farmer that was trying to use all the water or divert it or something. So they went to court, and the Supreme Court came out finally with this winter's doctrine saying we had reserved rights, and we as reserved rights and based on our treaties, that we reserved enough water for our reservations when we ceded away all of our lands, we still kept back certain lands, and that was what we kept back also was the water, because we couldn't possibly have given up our water when we ceded away the lands, because it would have been worthless. So we had reserved rights, and we never lost them if we didn't use them. And it's very contrary to state law, the kind of rights we have. So the state hasn't had any authority here. Couldn't control the water, and have tried at different times. I think in '72 they issued permits that were not legal, and to non-members, they couldn't enforce anything there either. In any case, but on the, to know what's going on with our water rights is that up in the northwest part of the reservation, in 1909, the United States went into a treaty, boundary waters treaty, with the Crown, I guess they called it then, and to divert the St. Mary Milk River off of the Blackfeet Reservation over into Canada to go down to the area where winters came about in the first place. And that was 1909, so that was right after the Winters Doctrine. In 1908, there was a decision on our southern border on the Birch Creek. It was called a Winters case, and it was named, it was a Conrad investment. And so everybody is limited. If we needed more water anytime, we could always get it, but we had all of our water rights there, and it was decreed by a court to consider all the problems with and why we have been opposing the negotiated water settlements is because there's no reason to have them. And there was no reason here except that everybody had their own agenda, including feds, because the government subsidized that water project up there. It's called the Milk River Federal Reclamation Project, and they diverted our water. And so they owed us for that water they took illegally. We never gave it away. So the milk went down to Fort Belknap, and then it went down to, now that's the eastern part of the reservation, and went on over to the Fort Peck tribes. See, and the government wanted the Milk River. They wanted Fort Peck to give up their Milk River rights to Milk River, and for the Fort Belknap to give theirs up, and for us to, because it rises up here on our reservation, but because of the Milk River Federal Reclamation Project. And for a number of reasons, the feds wanted us to negotiate, including the fact that they owed us all this money, and they owed us for mismanagement because they never developed our water for us here because they're the trustee. Well, the agent for the trustee, these departments, these agencies, and they're supposed to have developed our water for us. And here, with all the water, I thought about it one night, and I thought with all the water, all the wind, and all the oil and gas we had, we've been absolutely in poverty here. And the problem with all of this, besides what it boiled down to, was they were trying to get out of the government, feds were trying to get out from responsibility and their obligation to us, because they probably owe us billions rather than 70,000 or whatever, a million that they set aside for the settlement thing. But in any case, there really was no reason for it other than that. And in that settlement case, it says in there that we would give up all the rights to any lawsuits against the United States for anything related to water. But every time you bring into land, that's related to water. So we just about get the right to have a any lawsuits against the United States for everything they have done to us so far, besides mismanagement and keeping us in poverty. The state had their own reason for getting getting us into a negotiated settlement. I should back up. If we went to court with the feds in federal court, you see, we wouldn't be run by the state government, wouldn't have any control over our water. But the feds were trying to get out from having anything to do with it. That's where palming us off onto the state. And so they were pretty much in cahoots with one another in getting this water courts bill in 1979. State of Montana's passed the bill in, I don't know, early 70s maybe. It was called the Indian Jurisdiction Project, and it was to find out how to get jurisdiction on the reservations. They came and took everything away from us, and I don't like to say that. It sounds like we were helpless, and we don't know what to do, or we have nothing, that we're victims or something, and I don't like feeling like a victim, because I don't think we can get anything done feeling like a victim, But I think that people have to realize that we're not the only ones affected by what's happened to us. Everybody is going to be affected, because when the state controls the water, which they're doing it under this, then big corporate interests move in. 2008, the Congress passed a rehabilitation bill for the St. Mary Milk River Federal Reclamation Project. They hadn't done much work on it since probably it was built in 1909. And hidden in that bill was and Earl Operson spoke out against it. He wasn't for it, but they had a hearing down in Havre, and is how come I knew about it. And then when I saw the bill, I was shocked, and I called Earl up, and I also heard his video. I also heard the audio of that hearing where he said he was against it. But when his lawyer, the lawyer, Jeannie Whiting, wrote the letter, she said he was for it. In principle, I think it's the same thing as being for it. So it went through, and in it was this portion that said that the Blackfeet would compete on equal with municipalities for development of hydroelectric or anything else, for any water use, any water development, we would compete with municipalities. And I think that may have been another reason why they were trying to get that compact pushed through, and went through all the shenanigans they did to get it done, including holding this illegal election. Because you see, they could not go in and do it with a legislative act to wipe out our rights without our knowledge. And Earl didn't agree to that. I know he didn't. I heard it, and it's on the record, I'm sure, someplace in that legislative history. So you have that covered up, but the problem with the state controlling the water is that corporate interests will come in, and they tried it right after that 208 Rehabilitation Act, and they put in, this company put in an application to build a hydroelectric project on Lake River, the storage facility for that federal reclamation project. And we found out about it, and we wrote letters. I called FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, told them, they said to send a letter to them, and in protest, we sent a copy of original to each member on that board, Federal Energy Regulatory Board. So we did that and sent off a long letter letting them know that we hadn't given up our rights. That if anybody had taken our rights, it was done illegally. And so we have a record of that also. And they couldn't give a license to anyone without water rights because it stated right in that guidelines, I think, for a license to build. So that's what we did, and been able to stop a lot of stuff along the way, just by keeping up on everything. We haven't been able to stop the compact because they took undue advantage of our people. They went into the schools, the high school, and gathered the seniors who were like 18 years old, ready to vote, and told them what a great thing that this compact was, and that they should vote for it. They didn't allow us to go in and refute what they were saying or for them to hear the other side. So Bill, the black man here, and I went to the school board, and we told them that they couldn't do that, it was illegal, and they didn't even want us to talk more than 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, we are on the agenda, so we get to talk as long as we want. And we did. I mean, I stayed. Bill left. He thought we were finished, and I talked some more. So, and but what I was trying to get across, I guess, was that these seniors may have been in a government class, but they couldn't possibly understand what was presented to them because they didn't know anything about water rights. They didn't know if they had been taught about tribal government, if they had been taught about our status in this country, if they had been taught about sovereignty, maybe they could make a good decision, a well thought out decision, but they couldn't because they'd never been taught anything about it at all. It's like you have a white school here. We don't learn anything about ourselves. They don't teach anything about who we are here. So they took, and then they had, they had all kinds of pamphlets out and everything about how great it was, and even have stuff at the hospital, information at the hospital. You could sit up there and read it if it was all for this compact. And then the last, I don't know, month, or a couple weeks, for a week they had 2-hour sessions in each community to tell us how great that it was. And we weren't allowed to disagree. We weren't allowed to voice our opposition. We weren't allowed to make a sound while they were talking. And we weren't allowed very many questions. But then they had an election, and we're organized under a constitution and a corporate charter. And our corporate charter is our protection for our, I don't know if they call it a saving clause or what, but it's a protection for our water, our lands, and our oil and gas and all of our resources. And this was violated, and we have when I held this election, because in the one sense you can read it to say that you cannot vote away your water or your land. The other one is that they did have an election that was illegal, but didn't have the required number of people voting in it, so it was illegal, so we took them to court individually, because they said we couldn't sue them as a council, but we could sue them as individuals because they violated our charter and had an illegal election all the way around. So that is still in court, and And we have an attorney who we don't pay. I mean, we don't have any money to pay them. So we're still in court after 2 years, haven't accomplished anything, haven't gotten an injunction to stop the implementation of this compact. And if the tribe controls the water, it's protected. Nobody can come in and pollute it so it's not fit to use or drink or anything. With the state, it brings in corporate interest, and they can let a bottling water company come in and do this. And in fact, as soon as that compact was approved in December of 2016, a member here was already applying to get a permission from the tribe or somebody to open a water bottling plant here. And he's a member. But we were writing stuff and putting it out there saying, if he does, he's going to be selling to Nestle's. And you know what Nestle does around the world and in this country. So this is what it opens the door to.
Hi, Wayne Mini Heights, one of our Blackfeet tribal members that is, as we all have a history of protecting our water since we were youngsters. And as I say, that our water is sacred to our Blackfeet. In the Red Blanket area, and our neighbor was James Whitecap, and he was elderly. He was around 100 years old at the time when I was being raised in the 50s and 60s. And he always told us that our water is not for sale. This water is not for sale. And he would travel to DC and meet with presidents and whoever else. You know, he had that high prominence. And a lot of our tribal members throughout that time of history has held on to stand up for the water rights, our sweeter peaks, our water spirits, as they say, because we represent the land spirits, as they say, because we walk on this earth, but there's still spirits that live in this water that, you know, if they were to come to life, as the belief is that, you know, they could cause havoc on this land. So in general, we always, you know, had reverence for these water spirits so that they don't come and, you know, wipe us out, as they say, because mankind could be, you know, pretty devious, and they want to disrespect everything through monetary gain. But being raised in that holy sense, we never stepped across that line. But a lot of our tribal leadership today does not live and abide by the history of our Blackfeet tribe, because we, as a tribe, we lived across this land, and we had favoritism with our Creator, because He put us basically in charge to watch over this land, these animals, these plants, everything that grew, and mainly our water. And we always, you know, as they say, that our Creator loved our people and Native people in general that lived in this land, because our history shows that, you know, that Jesus, you know, his history was over there in Jerusalem, as they say. And what happened to him over there, and our people were innocent, that we didn't have anything to do with how that was brought upon them, that Jesus suffered and was put to death over there. But everything that happened after that, you know, it has affected our people through history. and we still suffer from what other people wanted to, as they say, show us religion or whatever, and saying that we didn't have a Holy Spirit, but with us and the Creator, you know, and His love for our people and our existence, we had no idea of what destruction that was coming upon us. And throughout history, to this point, we are, like they say, living examples, because today, our elders at that time were warning us. They were telling us what was coming, that this water would be bottled and that we would be for sale and we'd have to buy bottled water. But as a youngster, we went out and splashed in the water, and we drank, you know, whatever, without even pondering a thought of that water being for sale in a bottled, you know, container. So it didn't make sense at that time. But today, everybody is competing to bottle this water as fast as they can because of the drought. Because, as they say, where we're sitting now up here in Browning, that there's going to be a 10-degree temperature rise this summer. And with that, we're going to be living in drought conditions, because right now our average temperature would be 60, 70. Back in the 70s we had full glaciers, but since 70, now today our glaciers are, you know, almost melted away. So now we are in a dilemma with this water. Right now we had like rain and some snow and what, you know, things that kept our water levels full. But with these climate changes or whatever, we're going to start living in a higher need for water resource. And so a lot of our people, our leadership, does not take that into place or put it in place where we're going to need our water just to survive. But we're now handing it over. But as our prominent chiefs, they said that water is not for sale, so there's going to be a punishment or whatever, because our people, or not in general all of our people, but those that have this government influence are just handing it over for monetary gain. And to us, that is just paper, because you can take that $1 or $5 or whatever, and it's a piece of paper, and you can just, you know, light it and be gone. But our dependence on water will be forever. And that's why we have such a, you know, a holy enlightenment that we know that man cannot own this water. It's not to be given to anyone, like as they say. So that's why we speak out, and we feel good because we're standing up and we're speaking out the truth that, you know, you don't mess with something you don't have control over. But we're saying that our voice is going to be the voice, no matter what court or whatever that they decide, is that we're going to have a say, and that, as we said, our water is not for sale, as has been taught. But now they're, you know, bringing in some infrastructure now, and they're, you know, making more resources from the state available to our community, and they're, you know, just kind of sugarcoating everything that they're handing out to our people, you know. And I didn't know about that $75 payment or whatever, and that just kind of like blows me away. But, you know, we had tribal members stand and, you know, try to stop this man Zinke from coming in and writing a check to our tribe before they switched out into our new tribal leaders that's running this council now. And every time that, as we speak on these before live videos or we have a gathering, it seems like these politicians, they listen to what's being said even now, and somehow they make that ball roll faster, so that when we bring an argument, they try to trump it with some sort of monetary payment or whatever, so that it validates that we accept what our Blackfeet people accept a payment. So that means that we agree. And a lot of our people are not educated enough to understand that our government in general does not function. It's a dysfunctional government from the White House on down to our tribal headquarters here. And we're saying that we want to be of healthy mind, and we want to look out for everyone here in downstream or wherever, and our best interest is not selfish. We're not a selfish people, but when you start getting people that are selfish, they're going to start putting restrictions on every cup of water. Everybody's going to, have a hard time to have water running into their homes just for basic needs. Because right now, before this all started, nobody even thought that water would be turned off or whatever for just basic usage. But now we have encroachment that is gonna, everybody's gonna have, like they say, a water fight or a water war, or, things can get pretty out of hand when people start, taking your water supply. So we really have to, as they say, step back and, look at the effect that this water compact's going to have on our people. Because if we just go along with it, then, who's going to suffer? I mean, when someone gets control of your water, they control the land, as they say, whatever grows on it, or, whatever has to eat on that land, because water replenishes life. Waters our number one giver of life. If these men or these corporations, if they get a hand in our affairs, because that small payment that they're going to pay, that gives those government agents, those corporations, a say in this water, all the rules that they've broken to get to this point, because everything's been illegal. And we have a history that can prove that everything has been illegal. When we speak, we don't have a script in front of us. As they say, we speak from our heart, and we speak to our Abastaduki, our Creator, and He listens as you listen. So we as members got to continue to teach our children how important and loved they are by our Creator, and what has been left to them, it's going to be in their hands when we're, I hate to say, when we're no longer here to fight, but they're the ones that's going to carry the fight, So we just kind of like are giving them insight, and they can take it from there. So we just have a message that needs to be heard throughout our country, across America, Mexico, Canada, because we're all native people here, and we all look out for one another, and we look out for the people who live here. And that's how much that this water is going to impact this whole United States.
I'm a member of the Blackfeet tribe. I've lived on the reservation all of my life. My grandfather was Joseph Brown, and he was responsible for putting together, or not by himself, but with our council at that time, they put together what we call our Constitution. Now, at that time, everybody says that this Constitution was the same kind of Constitution that other tribes had adopted. And so, therefore, they called it a cookie-cutter Constitution. Some time ago, we come up again, they wanted to redo the Constitution, the people that were in power at that time. We were fighting in the water compact about that time that they brought this about. And I personally feel that they brought up this idea of the Constitution to coincide with the water compact, because they both come to a head at the same time. And that in itself kind of split people's attention. I focused most of my attention on the Constitution, and others focused on the water compact. But there was so much corruption within the water compact from when it started. And this water compact was not something that was new. It's been going on for what I'm told about 25 years, maybe more. It's been quite a while that the state of Montana has been after this. Now, as far as the state of Montana goes, when they became a state of Montana, they signed an enabling act. And that enabling act tells them that they cannot interfere with the Blackfeet Nation. Now, to give you a little bit of clarity on this, the Blackfeet Nation was in just a little reservation in the upper northwest corner of Montana. The Blackfeet Nation was huge. We were not a tribe. We were, in fact, a nation of people. Our nation went all the way from Edmonton, Alberta, covered most of all of Alberta, and went down as far as West Yellowstone, over to North Dakota, and over to Idaho. That's under some dispute, but I'm told that it's went as far as over to North Dakota, to Idaho. And so we were not just a little tribe of people. There were over 80,000 of us. 80,000 people, and we could come up with a war party to fight a war between 2,000 to 4,000 warriors at any given time. So we were, at that time, a force to be reckoned with. And the, I don't know, I guess the cavalry decided that they think that they didn't want to attempt this war. Maybe they didn't want to send Custer up this far. I have no idea, but he wouldn't have lasted 10 seconds if he would have faced us. But we were, during that time of Custer, we were suffering our own problem, because they brought some blankets up here from back east, and we were suffering from a plague. It killed almost 98% of our Blackfeet people off. So when they say our land is sacred, you have to believe that it really is, because we have our people spread all over this land, from Edmonton all the way down and to North Yellowstone. Our people are all over this land. They're buried here. So when we say our land is sacred, we mean it. It really is, because this is where the bones of our ancestors lie. This is where our bones will lie. And hopefully, if we do a good job, the bones of our grandchildren will also be here. And we hope to continue with that. So when we came in and for whatever reason, whether it was the copper mines in Butte or the silver mines or whatever the reason was, they came in and they completed a treaty with us. And at first they just wanted the treaty, they just wanted passage through Montana, through our territory. They didn't want to be accosted by any of our warriors. So as a result, our tribe said, yeah, we will not attack your little wagon trains or whatever, but we can't speak for our youth. So that gives you some idea. Even back then, our youth was a little hard to control. So they did what they wanted to do. But the treaties, when they came in, they started getting a little bit more demanding and a little bit more demanding. The state of Montana finally became a state, and they signed the Enabling Act. But ever since they've done that, they've had their hands behind the scenes trying to manipulate the Blackfeet tribe and trying to get, for whatever reason, I don't even understand why they want this water. But I do understand that the state of Montana is like any other state, is run by corporate money. Corporations moving into your state and creating income and growth, and that's the American way, supposedly. Our problem with that is that they want us to give up what is coming through our land. They want to say, well, you can't have all of that water. You can only take a portion of that because the state of Montana owns a portion of it just by reason of being here. But nobody talks about the Enabling Act. They didn't bring that up during the Enabling Act negotiations. And as far as the Water Pact negotiations is called for, we didn't even know that they were negotiating until they called us all to a meeting and said, this is how we work this out. They let nobody read it. They didn't give us time to do anything. That was the first time. We finally got that one pushed aside and discredited. But the new one, there's just too much corruption involved in it. I don't think that there is a case before the Supreme Court that we've actually won. There may be. I haven't heard of any. But anyway, we've been fighting this water compact and the corruption in our tribe, and I don't know how to put this, but in the beginning, when the creation of this reservation, there was some individuals that came onto the reservation with the fort system and to, I guess, patrol the reservation. But these people were here to teach us the ways of God. They called themselves, we called them the Black Robes. Now, they put us in boarding schools, they put us in missions, and they did a lot of heinous things to us. So there's a lot of animosity towards that system, although many of our people are part of that system now, the Catholic system. But be that as it may, a lot of our people were taken away from their culture and denied their heritage, denied their language, denied their dances, just about everything you can think of. They were trying to make us into good little Europeans, or I guess you would say white people. It never turned out quite that way they supposed. But this group that came in with these people came a kind of a society, an upper echelon of society people. Now these people became our business owners on this reservation, and they started collecting themselves in the upper positions of power on the reservation. And these were mostly white people at that time. And so with the BIA superintendent at the same time. So during that time that they were here, they set up, I don't know how else to say it, but they set up a brotherhood. And if you're in that brotherhood, then you can have just about anything you want. You know, if you want some land, they'll get it for you. If you want anything else, they'll try to get it for you. But if you're one of the regular schmoes like us, just one of the regular people, we can't get anything from anybody. We can't even get a complete sentence from these guys. It's unbelievable. They don't give us no help at all, and they won't talk to us.
Can't even get a buffalo roast. I've been waiting 4 years for buffalo roast.
Yeah, I don't know. We had a big buffalo herd. I don't know if they sold it or not, but we have buffalo, and we've all been waiting for our little piece of buffalo. It never comes, and the robes always go somewhere else. But anyway, this society of people that became the upper echelon of who we are, they also incorporated members of our tribe who had money, who had land, and who had some sort of power with that, even though they did not realize it at that time, that land gave them power, but they didn't realize it. So there was a lot of land theft and graft and a lot of that kind of thing going on, and we could talk about that for a long time. But that's not the point. The point is that they set up this society. The society has been running all since we've been here, to every council session. They put people, I'm not saying that everyone that's on the council is a part of that, but they certainly do answer to that, whoever the voices are on the other side, if you understand what I'm talking about. So they do what they're basically told. If you really look at this water compact, they have, I mean, when they first gave us the water compact, it was on a big sheet of paper, and it was a 4x4 square in the middle of a sheet of paper. And the sheet of paper was so many pages thick, you couldn't even read, the font was so small on that. So they do their little tricks to try to dissuade you from reading the material that you're supposed to be reading. So why this big deal about who owns, how much the state owns of this water? This is absolutely unthinkable that we would even be in this place where we're talking about the sale of water. I mean, the one thing, now I don't know if your listeners are Christians, and if they read the Bible or not, but God divided the waters. Okay, there was something there to begin with. There was water. That is the very basic basis of life, is the water. There was water there that God used to create life with. Now, he created the water too, but he put that water there to let us know that that is our basis for life. The water should be free to everyone, not to Nestle's Quick or Nestle's Tea or Budweiser or any of those pop companies. They don't own the water. That should be going down. It should be free for anybody to use, except for the corporations. They should have to pay very, very heavily for the water. And the states are behind them because they are supplying money to the states for their elections and what have you. So this is all just a pile of muck. I don't know what else to say about it, but this upper echelon of people that we have on this reservation, they are, how would you say, they are given to doing what is asked of them from the people that are within their circle. And as a result of that, they basically kind of sell us out, the smaller ones, the ones that are just on the everyday people, you know, the ones who work for a living, the ones who breathe life, the ones who deal with the day-to-day lives and try to make sure that we get a meal every day. You know, not everybody on this reservation eats good every day. I myself eat commodities. But besides that, there are people who are suffering on this reservation. And we do need the council's attention on that instead of doing what the government wants them to do. We want to hold on to the last thing that we have, and that is our water. We want to keep it pure, not just for us, so downstream, everybody can have a chance to drink pure, crystal clean water. And that is why we're fighting so hard. We do not want the state in here, and we do not want the corporations like Budweiser and Nestle's Tea and the rest of them coming in here and sucking the water completely dry before anybody gets a chance to use it. So they can sell it for, what, $1.69 to $3.69 in the stores, whatever they mix it with. So this is all economics to them, but it's not to us. To us, this is our life. This is what makes us alive. This is what gives us, what the Lord gave us, what the Creator gave us, is what we want to keep. And that's our land and our water. Well, thank you for listening to me.
The water is very important, you know, for them to be here, you know, for everybody to be here more time, you know. even our people, that use the water all over the United States, why can't you join us in our fight for this water? Because it's important to your children too, your grandchildren. And yes, and also I would like to include that there is pipelines that go through this reservation, and they're very old, and we just hope and pray that that the water stays good, because with the fracking, we don't know what kind of chemicals are all in that, and what is actually going through those pipelines. Is it crude oil? But the Blackfeet get nothing. They wanted us to accept $123 for the pipelines, 3 pipelines that go through my mother's allotment. And that was to cover 47 years. One-time payment of $123. To this day, it's still sitting in my account. They will not take it out. I told them I don't want it. Why don't you guys remove it? But they haven't. And also, we're doing fundraising for our attorney, and we have a GoFundMe site. That's what is it again?
Triple Divide Water Protectors.
Triple Divide Water Protectors. And that's for anybody that wants to help to assist the Blackfeet attorney and with this fight for the water, they can contribute.
Yeah, I'll add that link into the end of the video. And if you're listening, anybody out there, push that link and donate, $25, $50, $100, whatever you can afford to help pay for the attorney so they can protect the water, our water, everybody's water.
Yes. So we are putting ourselves out here, for the people, that I greatly appreciate everybody here that speaks out on these issues, because I'm not, sometimes I want to give up, because I think, nobody's hearing us. But I keep going.
One thing I gotta say is that our water rights are important to us. The reason why it's so important for us to keep our water rights is because we're one of the main providers in one of the last glaciers in the world. Our water supplies most of the North American continent, and us as Blackfeet people were sent up here for the government to slowly kill us off, and I think the Creator put us here for a reason. We were sent up here to protect the water, one of the last glaciers that we have. I think more young people should get involved, and it's kind of disturbing the fact that, the tribe would want to sell our water off, just because of how important it is to us, to the animals and to the earth. I mean, without our water, we ain't gonna,
The babies.
And our kids, my grandchildren, and
Future generations.
The future generations to follow. If the state gets a hold of our water, they're gonna sell, and our water's gonna be polluted. It's gonna be like all the other water around United States and outside of United States. I feel like we're gonna be turned into a third world country for the most part, especially with people selling off their land. It's also bad that they sold their land off. I'm really against the land buyback program too. I don't believe in that. I think it's really detrimental to the Blackfeet and to the Native Americans of America as a whole, because we're not going to have land, and that's one of the most important things in the world to have is land. And money isn't important regardless. Money isn't what it's about.
It's temporary.
Yeah, money's just a temporary thing.
And it'll affect the state too, because they have children and grandchildren, and they don't want to make their babies sick, and do they want to always be buying water and just be controlled like that. So that's all we have to say. Thank you, Tashina.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it, ladies. I've been traveling around the country trying to document oil spills and contaminated water. Right here, I've been invited to show you some of the freshest water in the United States.
and in North America. It's gorgeous out here. Waterfalls, fresh water. We need to clean the world up. We need to make the world a better place for our children and our grandchildren.